You're how we doing? Do I sound drunk and slow? Off the rip, like last stream. That was actually it was kind of funny to listen to it back. Chopped and Screwed, Gundacker, NBA Slate breakdown. I literally did a whole video 2 nights ago. It was the DraftKings Core Plays video. And I spit fire. I spit fire. And then I go to edit it, upload it, and I listen to it. And I was slow, chopped and screwed, and I was like, I can't publish that. I gotta do it again. So I did it again, and then at the end of the second one, I lose my voice, and it didn't have the same flavor. But it is what it is, man. Happy holidays, first and foremost, because we have people celebrating all kinds of holidays, but also Merry Christmas to those of you that are celebrating that, like me. It's a fun time of year, nice and cold. You get all cuddly and lovey, and I love it. And then you get Christmas basketball, NBA all day, and every year NBA tries to give us an incredibly exciting selection of games, usually some big dogs going at it. And they've done their best this year. Of course, there is a game that looks like it's a little lopsided, but nonetheless, it's star-studded. So I'm excited to close out this year with something that feels as normal as possible. And that's NBA all day on a Christmas day, sweating it with the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, the yearly group stake buy-in thing. That's like a Christmas tradition now. It's so much fun. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome Christmas Eve. And hopefully you guys had fun on the 13-12 game opening night, the big night, and made some money. Nikola Jokic, Ja Morant, Brandon Ingram, Russell Westbrook, Chris Middleton, Terry Rozier, and Domantas Sabonis were your top scorers on DraftKings. And I kind of talked about that on that live stream. Get a little bit different, right? We knew there was going to be insane ownership on Luka Doncic, a little bit of ownership on Giannis. And I thought, man, on a 12-game, it was 13 games at the time. There was just, it seemed way too perfect for the obvious Luka play to be the nuts, and it wasn't. And that's what helped me make some a decent scratch on FanDuel that night. And hopefully on DraftKings, you guys delivered as well. I've been really digging FanDuel a little bit more than DraftKings. And I was like that way when I first got into NBA DFS. I preferred FanDuel. But essentially, FanDuel was so stuck on no late swap that it only took a couple times for me to go to DraftKings and try and feel like I'm protecting my money a little bit more with late swap. But this year, FanDuel sticking with late swap. Hopefully, it's something that stays and it's not just here for the COVID-related stuff. But yeah, what's up, live chat? How we doing, man? Shout out to you guys for popping up. Wasn't really a scheduled stream. Like, I knew we were gonna do some content, but I didn't really put out a time or anything like that. So I appreciate those of you guys that just get that push notification on your phone. You're like, all right, let's roll. Sway McThunder, Casey Banton, Cam, Chris Gonzalez, Dave Jones. Merry Christmas, Dave. Rich is in the chat. Dave says, I'm planning to take down a big GPP tournament on either DraftKings or FanDuel. This is a big lobby out there. $1 million on DraftKings, right? FanDuel's lobby is filling up way faster than DraftKings. I saw. What up, Jim? Tony Cantillo, Jeff Abbey. Hey, Dean. When Dad face reveal. Hey, man. Hey, Young C. So what we're gonna do this stream? I know this may sadden a lot of you guys, but I don't have Raj. I know. Hey! Don't leave. Don't leave. But instead, I decided to get the services of somebody who actually won $100K in NBA on the final day of last regular season. Let's drag him in here in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. You're Jake in the Heezy.
Not support this hardened favoritism that the NBA shows.
Eric Gordon facing 7-day quarantine.
James Harden getting 4 while his entire team gets 7. I don't know about
So quarantine's not the same as suspension, right? You're probably still getting paid if you're on quarantine, but I don't know. What a nightmare.
that. Entire team, yeah. It sounds like they might not have enough players to go next game either if everyone's in 7-day quarantine.
What a nightmare. What a nightmare. But I feel like whenever it's the player's fault, I have zero remorse. But if it just happens, it happens. I think a lot of people maybe misinterpreted that situation as in James Harden went out and then everyone had a quarantine. It was actually separate, isolated incidents. So I wanted to hate Harden even more, and I used to be a Harden fan, but I'm just losing it for him. But apparently it was a separate haircut thing that had nothing to do with Harden that jeopardized the whole team. And then Harden did his own thing, and they didn't have enough bodies to suit up. What did they have to suit up? 8 to.
Yeah, you have to suit up 8, and they didn't. I think they had 7 after Harden was officially ruled out.
Okay, Jake needs to turn up the mic. I can turn up the desktop audio too, so that should help out. My bad, chat. Yeah, Jake, let's hear that lineup that won 100K thousand bones. Jake won 100K. Did he donate any to Hayward's charity?
No, I didn't. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, Jake won 100K off the back of Terrence Mann,
who's on this slate.
He's on this slate. Anyway, hey, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to help me out. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We'll probably get to 5K subscribers, hopefully by the end of Christmas Day. We've been over 5K before, but when you don't put content up, YouTube tends to purge accounts, and then you start losing subscribers. So we actually gained like 20 in the last couple days. So hopefully we'll get back to the 5K plus, and then maybe next year we'll flip another 1,000 or 2,000 and have some fun. Jake, how did you enjoy the 12-game opening night slate?
Well, Gordon Hayward decided to go off on it, so that wasn't ideal.
That was the weirdest game. That was like a blowout, but like so many people hit value.
It was just Rozier and Hayward did everything on that for the Hornets in that game. They just both dropped like 50s.
Yeah, and then the Cavs all like got there, except Drummond was aight, but like it wasn't. Yeah,
it's just those fouls. Instead, JaVale McGee went off.
What are you gonna do? Also on the 2-game opening night, I was a little bit perplexed. Not perplexed, but I didn't. I was on Kelly Oubre against the Nets, and he just didn't play. He played like 25 minutes with 1 foul. It was a blowout. So that would hurt me on opening night, but I still profited opening night. So I don't know. I'm excited for 5-game all-day slate. Hopefully you guys get up in time to make some news and adjustments. I love Christmas because it's like one of those slates that you can slow sweat and make changes as you go, right? Like if you have investment on a couple of punts in the first game and they go bananas for a surprise 9-10x, and then you can start saying, okay, now I can start switching out some of these lineups for higher floor guys to kind of take advantage of the 9-10x's, and vice versa. If you invest in a guy in the early slate and he underwhelms, well, then you start switching some other lineups to accept a little bit more risk because already there's a good chance that lineup might be against the wall, back against the wall. So then you start making some more riskier plays in those lineups, and it's a marathon. It's so much fun. So I'm excited. Usually the Discord's pretty popping all day. Let's be honest, everyone's pretty much done Christmas by now. Everybody I know has already opened all their gifts, and they're doing their family stuff now. And then us gamblers will enjoy the day. If you guys, like I said, are new to the channel, this stream and this channel is in conjunction with RunDFS.com. If you guys want to go above and beyond, support me, support the channel, get yourself a VIP subscription at RunDFS.com. You'll unlock immediate access to my proprietary spreadsheets for NBA, NFL. There's still NFL this weekend and baseball coming up. And of course, we do have other coverage within the Discord itself, the community grinding so much other stuff like golf, and Jake is a esports shark, bets, stuff like that. So if you guys just want to get access to the proprietary spreadsheets, and then go above and beyond, get access to a community of tight-knit grinders at all different stakes. Definitely implore you to come be part of the RunDFS.com community. It's so much fun, and every day before lock, for at least 2 hours for the NBA slates, we do a voice chat, and it's so important before NBA to have your ear to the ground and have guys looking at every different spectrum out there, because news floats, pregame coach notes come out, and we just have people on top of everything, and it helps us make our lineup. So I want to see you guys in there. I'll be in there in the morning too as well. Don't forget Young C parlays, yeah, right? Group buying in this year, yes. There's a little bit of room left in that. If you go into NBA, maybe hit up Cam or something. He'll let you know what's up. And yeah. Legend has it, Rozier is still draining threes. Oh my god. Dude, the Terry Rozier. 10. That's so...
He might not have 10 in another game in his career.
Bruh. I hate it's like Devontae Graham's known for a high percentage three-point shooter, and like I had more Devontae. And Devontae didn't kill me, but that's 30 points Devontae should have had. Gosh dang it. Because it sure didn't come from LaMelo. Oh, man.
No, LaMelo had a solid 0.
Yeah. Anyway, chat, let's take a wide look at today's slate, and then we'll go game by game. I was trying to pull up Vegas odds here for on Fantasy Labs, but they don't have tomorrow's up yet. So let's go to Vegas Insider to get yourself a eagle eye perspective on what to expect today. New Orleans and Miami, we got a 223.5 total. Miami favored by just 3.5. That's pretty low, which gives me some encouragement. But also we have some lingering Jimmy Butler news. But I think Jimmy plays. We'll see. Golden State and Milwaukee, 232 total. Milwaukee went from 7.5 to 10. Would assume a lot of that is based on how bad the Warriors looked on opening night and how it's really just a one-man show in Milwaukee. I know they got upset there by Boston, but Golden State, they're not looking good. At least they're not looking deep. Brooklyn and Boston, that looks like the game of the day for me. 228 total. Brooklyn went from a -1 to a -3. Dallas and the Lakers, 227.5 total. The Lakers favored by 6 after their underwhelming opening night. And then to close it out, the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, 224.5 total. Clippers favored by 2.5. Denver coming off a overtime game against the Kings where Buddy Hield walked it off with a putback. So one of the things that we saw kind of trendy on opening day, a lot of league favorites to be problems took L's, except the Nets, right? The Lakers went down, the Nuggets went down, the
couldn't be the Jazz.
The Bucks went down, yeah. So we'll see a lot of people looking for redemption here. But there's only one game with a 230 total, and a couple of these other games are lower total for today's NBA standard, so a little bit different than opening night. And I'll tell you what, usually it takes a couple days, a couple games for these sites to get their pricing right, but I feel like there's not some egregious standout must play outside of maybe a few on FanDuel. So I do think making lineups will feel a little bit tougher today, but let's get into it. Game number 1, the Dallas Mavericks at the Los Angeles. Wait, is that game number? No, that's not number 1. Whoa, scroll up, gun. Game number 1, the New Orleans Pelicans at the Miami Heat. Project starting 5 for the Pelicans: Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Stone Cold Steven Adams. My man had more steals in the first quarter last game than he might have had in a full game in a long time. The Miami Heat project starting 5. Tyler Hero drew the start over Goran Dragic. Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G buckets, and the G stands for gonna know if he plays before lock. Hopefully, Mo. How could you be so heartless? And Bam Adebayo, 223.5 total. I'll go to RotoWorld and pull up their Miami depth chart here and just kind of see if we can get an update on the Jimmy Butler situation. He's officially questionable, but like I said, I'd be kind of surprised if any stud that can play sits out on Christmas. He did not play at all during the preseason for rest reasons. Rolled his ankle during Wednesday's loss to the Magic. He still managed to play 36 minutes, playing through the pain, So it's likely that he'll be on the court for Christmas Day. So if I'm building lineups right now, I'm probably expecting him to be in. And at 8K, 8,200 against the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans are a team that came into the season as one of the faster-paced teams. I know Stan Van Gundy probably going to shake it up a little bit considering the weapons he has. But it still seems like a soft price for Jimmy Butler when some of these high-end price guys are a little bit uncomfortable, right? We're going to have to decide on Giannis in a blowout, or is LeBron going to be 34, 35-minute LeBron, or really continue this short spurt trend and kind of stick to under 30 minutes for a bit. So Jimmy Butler does kind of have a sweet spot, even if you're just like settling for 40 fantasy points on a somewhat tight slate. And then Bam Adebayo under 8K on DraftKings as well kind of stands out as something that you could take some shots on. There are a couple of 5 to 6K guards on this slate that have a high range of outcomes, a little bit volatile. Tyler Hero, Lonzo Ball, guys like that. But Brandon Ingram, I think the Toronto Raptors are a team we don't necessarily just immediately think of as a pushover defense. Brandon Ingram was out there scrapping on opening night. Maybe he got a little bit under noticed. DraftKings hasn't updated their scoring, but Ingram had a big day. Fantasy-wise, I think he was one of the top 5-6 scorers on the slate. And he's only 7,300 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. So I definitely think I'll be interested in cherry picking from this game when it comes to filling out my lineup with at least some of the mid-tier, maybe more so core guys. Any names standing out to you on first look, Jake?
I mean, but obviously Butler's the main one. You touched on him a bit. If he plays, I don't see how you don't like him here. It's the one guy who would like the only thing you've ever had to worry about with the Pelicans. I guess now Adams fills that role a little bit, but for guards was Drew Holiday. He's gone now. No offense to Eric Bledsoe, doesn't pose that same fear on the defensive end that a guy like Drew Holiday did.
100%. Yeah, Brandon Ingram was the third highest scorer on opening night, by the way. 37
one
minutes.
rebound off.
That's nuts. So I definitely think Miami Heat, we give them more respect defensively maybe than that Raptors team, losing Ibaka, losing Marc Gasol. But he's still kind of underpriced for what we know his ceiling is, right? You just were a top 3 scorer on a 13, 12-game slate. And he might go low into here. So, yeah, I'd be back as a buyer. And maybe it's a correlation play with Jimmy Butler. 223.5 total. I think Bam is also one of those guys that feels a little bit volatile with Butler. But in this game, or really in this slate, one of the things I was thinking about is when I'm scripting lineups, I think I want to maybe try and attack the game that goes off, right? It seems like on a short 5-gamer and a couple of games that we might expect to get lopsided or kind of write off, could I find a game where I could 3v3 people from? I don't know. I want to say, I don't know if I feel like I'm comfortable with 3 Pelicans, but is there do we anticipate maybe a negative correlation between an upside game between Brandon Ingram and Zion? If I was making correlation rules in my optimizer, if I want Ingram, do I want less Zion, and vice versa? Where do you fall on that? It seems like it's likely to assume that because Ingram, to get that big game, needed rebounds and real 20+ real points. So I don't know. I think the assists could still be there. I don't know.
The big thing to me was seeing 11 assists. Brandon Ingram's going to grab a couple rebounds. Obviously, you probably don't expect him to average 9 with Zion and Steven Adams out there, but he's going to be the number 1 option in theory on that offense. I don't see who's going to take it from him. Zion's a beast, but it's not like he's out there shooting threes or 18-footers.
Yeah, Zion actually had the 3rd fewest shots on his, or excuse me, the 4th most. So Bledsoe, Redick, and Ingram all took more shots, and Ingram nearly took 20 shots. So I don't know that the plan is Ingram to be a 20-shot attempt guy per game. So
Redick is an interesting punt on DK for the price, just because he did take 11 threes, played almost 30 minutes, took 14 total shots.
I could see that. Yeah, I could put some Redick in my back pocket. And he played 29 minutes, so he got essentially starter minutes. Try to run that second unit. Yeah, I'd be a buyer on Redick. Redick is going to be more scoring dependent than anything else, but man, if he's got a shot 20 real points on a 5-gamer, Shot at 30 points, especially with that 3-point bonus. I'm a buyer. 11 of his shot attempts were from 3. And having a guy like Goran Dragic off the second unit, I think helps him too, because Dragic's more of a shot creator. So I could get down with some Redick off the bench.
That's another guy specifically on DraftKings, because FanDuel hasn't done anything with his price, but on DK, Dragic's down to 5,300. I think because he came off the bench, he still played like a fair chunk of minutes and did very, very well. On FanDuel, he's still 6,400, so that doesn't feel good. But
yeah. Duncan Robinson, 4,400. Thoughts? I feel like there's a couple of slates a year, right, where Duncan just gets completely on fire. And at 4,400, he's right there at that Redick price, like even a little cheaper on DraftKings. He's essentially Redick.
He's a starting Redick for the Miami Heat.
Yeah. So he's just kind of sticking out as a punt play in my back pocket as well. I don't see myself getting to like a Mo Harkless or anything like that. I think I'm gonna make some. I'll make braver picks when I'm scripting, right? I think in my mind, we can't just live off of one game. In my mind, Lonzo Ball can get some of those assists that Brandon Ingram was having, right? Maybe he gets 10 points and maybe double-doubles with an assist. My saw projections put him right at 30, 6,500. I probably want a little bit more to feel super happy. And then Bledsoe just being a shooter like he is. Sometimes you take guys that got lost for fantasy purposes elsewhere, then you put him in a new situation, and he's the veteran leader on this team, especially when of a guard role, him and Redick. If he's going to take some of those shots as well, 5,600, maybe we start clicking his name before the field. We just kind of realize, oh, maybe he does fit in on this team. Chat, what do you guys got on this game before we move on to the next one? Ingram's breaking the slate, says Tony. Without Butler, all the Bam. I really think Butler plays as is. Just because it's Christmas, maybe we be cautious on a minute projection, but it just seems hard for me to anticipate him sitting out, especially with a little bit of a day of rest to ice up. And the fact that he played
him of all players,
it's Jimmy. I like Bam's price here comparative to the rest of the slate. Yeah, I think Bam and Butler are really like sweet price. Even Ingram, like you put those three together, even if they just got you 40 apiece, you don't feel like you got a ceiling out of it, but you got a decent foundation to work with if you're table setting for the rest of the day. Those are a couple of names that stick out. Dragon going off. I like the idea of Dragic. I'm a little bit I don't know. I think eventually they might work him back into the starting lineup. What was his minute? 26 minutes. I do think it's a glass ceiling when it comes to minutes for now, just because he was kind of dealing with injuries down the stretch last year. But I think he's so efficient in those minutes, and we saw that last year as well. 25 to 30 minutes of Dragic, it just gets it done. I don't know if I'm living on 20 real points from Dragic, right? 10 plus shot attempts, but if Hero's starting and it's less overlap, then yeah, it would probably just be Dragic kind of creating the flow here. This bench kind of looks ugly.
It really is like Dragic and then like Iggy, but he's 92 years old at this point. Avery Bradley's never been an offensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly O is Kelly O.
Yeah, I'm with the idea of Dragic. I do think maybe there's a little glass ceiling just because of minutes, but man, if you can put up 20 real points on the Magic, I kind of like your shot against the Pelicans second unit. Minute wise, Bam got 35, Butler 36, 32 for Hero. So nothing out of the ordinary. Duncan Robinson's 8 shot attempts, 3 from downtown. I'm with that. Love Dragic. All right, yeah, we can get down with some Dragic, sure. Steven Adams. So usually the Miami Heat are a team I don't target centers against. And I think Steven Adams just kind of be a guy like that for me. He had at least a solid start in that last game against Toronto, but he was getting some steals early on. Overall, he ended up with 4 steals, but I swear 3 of them were in the first quarter, and I was like, holy cow. So generally speaking, if I'm looking at the center position today at that price point, I probably see myself going more to Montrezl Harrell at 6K for $100 more. And then if you even dip down below him, there's a couple of guys that make a little bit more sense. I just don't think that Adams is going to be a usually a high ceiling guy. And those steals even added up a little bit more for FanDuel as well. Let's move on to the next game for now. And this is probably the uncomfortable decision game of the slate. It's the Warriors at the Milwaukee Bucks. Your project starting five for the Warriors: Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre Jr., Eric Pascal, James Wiseman. Taking on Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. Bucks maybe got stunned a little bit by the Celtics. I mean, we all expect Brad Stevens to come up with a plan to put his. I mean, they were down Kemba, sure, but I think a lot of people wrote off the Celtics. But the Celtics still, on paper, seem like a better team than what we saw out of the Warriors opening night. The Warriors just seem like a collection of awkward fitting pieces around Steph Curry, and not that I think Draymond helps, but taking him out and replacing him with like Eric Pascal, who was just like doing nothing. It was just a recipe for disaster. So what a tough first two games for the Warriors. They have to go to the Brooklyn Nets on the road, then go to the Milwaukee Bucks. But we'll go pull up Milwaukee's popcorn machine game flow from their first night. Then we'll go look at the Golden State Warriors. One of the guys I liked from the Warriors on opening night, past Curry, was Kelly Oubre Jr. I thought if the Warriors are going to find themselves behind in games, they're going to have to rely on the three ball a little bit more, and it can't just be Steph Curry. And coming into the season, Oubre, when you look at that roster, would be the second best option to shoot threes. You're not going to lean on Andrew Wiggins to chuck threes, and the rest of that lineup was a little bit unproven. Wiseman did kind of look good in his burst, but I thought Oubre would be a bigger part of that game, but he didn't get the minutes, and it wasn't for foul trouble. If you look at the first couple runs, he was really doing solid for fantasy, but he didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter, and that was unfortunate. I feel like I can write that off as being a little bit more of a just on the bad side of just a game script, right? 25 minutes in three quarters. He probably gets to 30 plus in a full four. But I don't know if he gets a fourth quarter in this game either. So my mind is just circling back on, do I go back to the well on Oubre? Because if they're going to stay competitive in this game, I just don't see how Oubre isn't a part of that. So he's somebody I'm jotting down in pencil, but at 7,100 on DraftKings, I feel like the decision's easier to say no. But I think on FanDuel, on a position like small forward that's usually pretty shallow, I have to make a stronger yes or no. Steph Curry's 8,700 on FanDuel. He's over 10K on DraftKings. I really see a lot of people just writing him off at that price point on DK. Knee-jerk logic says, yeah, that doesn't make sense in a game where it's a 10-point dog. But if you spin the wheel, make a deal, wide range of outcomes, there's at least a range of outcome where the Milwaukee Bucks, who really, on paper, they're a team that give up a lot of points via the three ball, but it's also really just because everyone they play has to score because they're down 10-15, so they have to chuck threes. So I would feel like if you're one of the people out there that want to play Giannis Antetokounmpo today, maybe you set a rule to get a little bit more Curry, at least on FanDuel because he's under 9K, just because it seems like a positive correlation, right? If you want more minutes from Giannis, it probably means Curry's out there doing well. Now, that's the analytical thoughts here. Behind that is some narrative. For whatever reason, and ESPN seems to make a deal out of it every time he's on. Steph Curry does not have good Christmas Day splits from a real-life perspective and, of course, in that regard, from a fantasy perspective. So I'm sure we'll hear that tomorrow. Obviously, I don't think we can quantify a specific day of the year being a bad day for him, but he hasn't performed well. Jake, if you're making a single entry lineup, are you completely avoiding this game and hoping the blowout yanks any ceiling?
Going from a single entry trying to play ownership, probably. Just because it's Giannis, I imagine he's going to garner ownership. I wouldn't be surprised if Curry does, unless people do get scared off by the Christmas thing. And if it does blow out, like we looked at it, that's the other thing. We looked at it. Giannis, I mean, naturally, at his price, ceiling doesn't really happen in blowout games.
No, they don't. We pulled it up on StatMuse, and all of his like 70, 80 burgers were really like close 35 to 40 minute games. It stands to reason that he wouldn't get that here if we all buy into the blowout.
Especially, I mean, looking at the price, like 11-6 on FanDuel, 10-9 on DK. I mean, I know it's a 5-gamer, there's a lot of stuff, but you're going to need 60 points probably. And if we're only expecting him to get mid 20 minutes in a blowout, that's probably a good spot to avoid.
Yeah, it's one of those spots where I think people that play Giannis, victory lap him at halftime when he has 40, but then it's a 20-point game, and then he ends up with 55 and just whatever. So past Steph Curry here, like I said, Kelly Oubre just kind of makes me think about him a little bit on FanDuel. Hashtag DFS, this will be like a Wiggins game. But James Wiseman on FanDuel, he's 4,200. Wiseman did not play any snaps in preseason, and he came out in garbage time. And I think one of the reasons for that is he's their top drafted rookie. Kerr probably just wants him to get those reps. So if you are projecting blowout, I think Wiseman's going to be part of the crew out there. And when he was out there in that fourth quarter, he took 6 field goal attempts, chucked a 3, a couple peripherals. Maybe you put that into your back pocket on FanDuel because he is super, super, super cheap at 4.2K. DK, they put him up at 6.2K. Even that's a thought because of the util spot. But just something to think about. I think we're all out on the 5K Pascal after opening night.
Oh, no.
He ended up getting benched at half. And really,
Good.
no one else was there. I think Chris in the Discord was talking about Brad Wanamaker in garbage time. If it happens, it happens. That's one way to script this. On the Bucks side, past Giannis Antetokounmpo, looking at opening night, Chris Middleton was one of the slate's highest fantasy point producers, 58.5 DKP. He had 27 real points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 38 minutes. I don't think, like, if we're projecting blowout, I don't think those minutes will be here as well. But I also feel like that's a little bit more anomalaic if you're watching a game. Early on, the Celtics were doing a good job on Giannis. A lot of this production came in the first half, and then Giannis kind of woke up in the second half. So I think a lot of people might, quickly chase that after a 1-game sample size. I don't think I would be overly invested in that at 7.4K. I think the usual 36 to 42 is probably what I would expect. My soft projection is at 38. But Dante DiVincenzo, though, 4,700 on DK, 45 on FanDuel. He kind of got shots off quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't know if that's something that we write off as anomalaic early on because of Giannis as well. But at under 5K on a 5-game slate, man, I think no matter what, if we're punting that guard spot at 5K, whether it be Dragic, Redick, guys like that, it's going to be some shot-dependent guys. How stoked would you be to play some DiVincenzo? Because the matchup's super soft, and he took 11 shot attempts on their first night. And looking at overall, man, Drew took 16 shots. Jeez, all the starters other than Brook
Drew's the really interesting one too there. I mean, not if you think it's a blowout, not so much obviously, but he also played 38 minutes taking those 16 shots. Him, Middleton, and Giannis basically played 36 plus minutes.
Yeah. And Dante only played 27 minutes and it was a close game. Okay. So if you're building, you're not assuming close game, right?
If I'm building for single entry, no. I'm definitely assuming it's a blowout. I'm hoping just it is, and people still go to Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Making 150 or making, whatever. You can't full fade this game on the off chance. Because if it does stay close, Curry's probably going off despite the Christmas narrative.
Yeah.
Giannis is Giannis. You can never write him off if he's going to play 36 minutes.
I'm just looking at the popcorn machine from this game. I don't really see any like surprise guys that got minutes. Sam Merrill got weird minutes in the first quarter. I don't know if that was just like
Utah State, great.
I don't know if that was just like end of quarter get rest there for Drew. That's what it was. Yeah, it was Drew in foul trouble early.
He had 3. I don't know when they came.
Oh, okay, then yeah. Other than that, it seems like a normal Bucks rotation, so nothing I'm gonna go crazy with. Chat, what are you guys thinking on this one? What up, Adam Shockley? How you doing, buddy? Merry Christmas. If it is, it's definitely gonna be Oubre Curry. And like I said, if you're like me, if you're gonna be responsible for 100, 150 lineups, I think you have to start taking some of the human human thoughts, right? The emotional thoughts about games, and then you start covering angles. And I do think there's angles here, especially I think on FanDuel it's easier to cover because Curry's under 9K. Giannis plus somebody, right? Maybe it's a Middleton or a Drew or somebody like that in a lineup versus a Curry and a Oubre. Because Curry and Oubre are on DK they're 17,300, and on FanDuel, they're less than 16K. So I definitely think on FanDuel they provide a little bit more of a value. I am concerned about Oubre's minutes. I was really hoping for like a 35-minute Oubre game. What else we got in live chat? I'm gonna play a little bit of Chris again. Hopefully, he can get more minutes. Hey man, you can go dumpster diving on that Warriors bench if one of your if your game theory for here is a blowout. Get a little bit weird. Maybe you don't have to put too much makeup on and get too cute, but it's very plausible. Chris is always a guy that's high point per minute propensity, but he also is a high foul guy. And if he has to cross pass with some of these lanky guys like Middleton, Giannis, even Bobby Portis off the bench might be able to draw some fouls off of him. Just know that that's a range of outcome. So I love Wiseman. Yeah, I think if you are thinking blowout, Wiseman's going to be out there in the fourth quarter getting some of those much-needed reps. Like I said, no preseason, no summer league, nothing like that, right? I also really want to play Harrell versus a team that doesn't have a center. I love Montrezl Harrell. Are Bucks still bad at stopping three? I mean, like I said, they were a top defense per 100 last year, and they replaced Eric Bledsoe with Drew Holiday. Like I said, I also think one of the reasons why the Bucks are notoriously bad against the three is because they're always playing with a lead, and teams have to shoot threes to catch up. So if you're going against more threes because their style of play is being, one of the fastest paced offense, shooting amongst the most threes in the league, the other team's gonna have to respond that way. So I do think that stat's a little bit misperceived. But with that said, if the Warriors gonna make this a game, yeah, Curry, Oubre, I think have to be part of it. And I really don't see anyone on the bench that can help out. This Warriors team is in trouble.
The problem with it having to be Curry too is if he ever starts to get hot, the Bucks are just gonna be like, "Hey, Drew, go stick him."
Mm-hmm. Warriors got Max blew out last game, and no bench pieces did anything. Not worth it. Off the bench, I agree. I think we remember the Warriors because it was a 2-game slate, and guys like Chris were kind of cute. On a 5-game slate, I don't think I'm going to get that reachy. Juan Toscano Anderson dropping 50. Hey, he started over Pascal that second half. I wouldn't be shocked if he starts this game, but I also wouldn't run to play that. I do think Kerr's got to look at this lineup and be like, all right, I got to do something a little bit different, but I don't think he has much else to do. Let's move on to the next game. It's the 5 o'clock game, and it's on ABC. It's the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Boston Celtics. Projected starting 5 for the Nets. Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan. Taking on Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Tristan Thompson, and Daniel Tice. 228 total, 3-point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. So from a total to spread standpoint, this has the highest total, tightest spread. And it's a game I'm probably most interested in because the Celtics kind of scrapped against the Bucks, right? They did their thing. The Nets just kind of had themselves a practice game against the Warriors, but Kyrie was looking good, and maybe the blowout helps Kyrie's price stay suppressed there. Kevin Durant's 8,500 on FanDuel, probably gonna play that. Karis LeVert came off the bench that game, and that made me like him even more. Obviously, the cat's out of the bag now. And at 5,800 on FanDuel, he's standing out as somebody I'm probably going to lean on a lot as the leader of that second unit offense and just have high usage. And then there's plenty of run back options here. Jaylen Brown, 7-5 on FanDuel, 7K on DraftKings. He was kind of the guy that benefited last game from pace of play and style of play that is successful against the Bucks. But Jason Tatum exists as well. And I think Tatum's one of those not quite household names just yet that's at a price where people might scoff at. 98 on FanDuel, 93 on DraftKings. And against the Nets, this might be a spot where he has to step up. He did look like he turned it on down the stretch in the second half of that game. And then Jeff Teague. I was reading reports and looking at tweets, and a term that I kept seeing people refer to Jeff Teague as was the X factor for the Celtics.
That's going to carry them to victory.
I just kept laughing because multiple people kept calling him the X factor, and I'm just like, Jeff Teague, the X factor. No Kemba, no problem. Jeff Teague, 25 minutes, 15 shot attempts, was perfect from behind the arc, 19 real points.
He is so cheap on DraftKings. I'm just going to throw that out there.
He's really affordable. And we're already, kind of flirting with some 4K volatile guards, the Heroes, the Dragics, the DiVincenzo's, Reddick's, guys like that. Maybe Jeff Teague on DraftKings has to join the conversation, especially, in a spot like this where he's going to have to keep up the scoring. So, X Factor Jeff Teague, maybe keep him in mind, because look at this conglomerate of names that he's working with off the second unit. Peyton Pritchard, Grant Williams, Semi Ojeleye, Robert Williams. It gets a little tough. What a lanky Celtics team. I feel like if you look at this lineup, like Tatum, Tristan Thompson, and Tice, and you think about length, you're like, all right, maybe I'm not that stunned that Giannis didn't go off first half, and then they just had to adjust. And maybe they do a good job here against like Durant or something like that. But yeah, man, what's sticking out to you on this game?
I think you touched on the big one. If I can have one Christmas present here, is to Karis LeVert comes in at 7% owned again or whatever it was.
Oh my god.
Off the bench, maybe people get. I mean, on DraftKings, I guess he's 72, but on FanDuel at 58. At small forward's typically a weak position. That feels like such a great spot that I'm going to look to target heavily and hope it comes in under 10% again.
Yeah, opening night, LeVert, he didn't even really get all the garbage time either. He basically got half the fourth quarter too. So, LeVert only played 25 minutes and went bananas. Am I reading that right? 25. Yep. Dang, I thought he was out there just mopping up Jordan Poole and stuff like that. Yeah, man, LeVert's usage, he's so good. I think if they run it like this. And if they're, if you have access to futures, unless LeVert gets traded for Harden, LeVert's your sixth man of the year without a doubt. if they keep him like this and everyone stays healthy, such an animal. So I like him a lot. And then, like I said, Kyrie and KD stayed so cheap on FanDuel that in my own lineups, I feel like they're going to generate to be one of my highest owned combos. Under 9K for Kyrie, 85 for Durant. And then put LeVert in the mix, that's such a cheap three, and it all makes sense. Joe Harris is 4,300 on FanDuel. I want to spotlight him for just a minute because I said this on opening day. I think Joe Harris, who is perennially one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, I think he's going to have such a great opportunity this year to just keep chucking and getting some of the most free shots that he's had in his career, with defenses focused on Kyrie Irving and KD and even LeVert to a standpoint. There's going to be a lot of open shots for Joe Harris. So it may not be a consistent thing, but there's going to be nights where Joe Harris maybe hits 8 threes and a couple of peripherals. He had 7 rebounds on that game against the Warriors, which is funny because we joked about the amount of rebounds he had against the Raptors in the last game in the playoffs in the bubble. But he only played 20 minutes. Obviously, that game blew out. If the game stays more competitive, Joe Harris might be a 28-minute guy. And down the stretch, even if you play a closing unit that has LeVert, KD, Kyrie, you probably leave Joe Harris out there for scoring as well. And I think he'll be kind of sneaky to chuck 3 balls. So anytime he's under 5K, right at that 4K range, like he's 4.3 on FanDuel, I'm going to be interested. And I got him projecting at 29 minutes. It's a little over 20 fantasy points. So I do think every now and then he's going to be like a Duncan Robinson, JJ Redick type guy where he just catches fire. And the defenses can't commit to covering Joe Harris because Durant and Kyrie's there. DeAndre Jordan's pretty cheap on FanDuel. I'm probably not pushing the issue on that one. And on the Celtics, Daniel Tice remained kind of cheap on FanDuel, 4,200. He was a power forward, I think, on opening night. And he is a center now. I think I have that right. Chat, what do you guys got on this one before we move on?
The one other name I would throw out there that we didn't really talk about, because obviously it got caught in the X Factor, Jeff Teague, and obviously Tatum. Jaylen Brown played 38 minutes and took 24 shots in that first game.
Yeah, I liked him a little bit more that game just because I thought it was going to be pace up. And, Tatum defensively was going to be matched up against some length in Middleton, in Giannis, and stuff like that. So I don't know if that purely sustains, but I also think when you think about that, no Kemba Walker, it's not crazy to assume that Jaylen Brown has to have a big game here. And I think a lot of people see 7+ K on Jaylen Brown, and you just don't feel fantastic about it. So maybe it's one of those hard to stomach plays. But if the minutes are going to be there, right? If he's going to be a top 4 guy in minute projection on the slate, yeah, take some shares of that for absolutely. I'm a buyer. I like that. Let's see what you guys got in live chat before we move on. Rich said Levert's the trap on DraftKings. Okay. So Levert is what? He is 7.2 on DraftKings and Jaylen Brown 7K. I don't know if people chase Levert on DraftKings at that price when you have Jaylen Brown. I could be wrong.
Certainly not cheap. Is he still guard forward, though? Because I know for a while he was shooting guard small forward.
Levert and Shirley. He is, guard forward. So you can put him in 4 spots. And then Jaylen is guard forward. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like in a 1v1, even I might go Brown just because I'm a sucker for minutes and safety. But I don't think I don't know. I also feel like in my mind, like Rich, I don't think he's gonna be as chased as you. He wasn't that cheap the other night. I mean, he wasn't this expensive the other night.
Because Levert is so cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, give him to me on a shallow position. Matter of fact, we just go look at the FanDuel lobby. He's a small forward on FanDuel. Jesus H. So it's like LeBron, Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, B.I. I like B.I. 7.3. But yeah, Levert's right there. So like, I think on FanDuel, the even if you just give me 25 out of Levert, I don't think it gets you out of the dance. And 30 plus is obviously in the wheelhouse. And I also think he's going to be part of the. I think Steve Nash would put him in a closing unit that needs to score. Like I think eventually Dinwiddie is not the closer. So I like what they got. But I also think like Levert could just still be a 30-minute guy no matter what. And we saw his ceiling. Obviously, the matchup against that Warriors G League unit is pristine, and maybe that inflates his price here. But I'm not anti-Levert at all, especially at the small forward spot. Chris says Durant, Kyrie is going to get a fourth quarter and drop 50 each. I like it. I think that's a team that we can handcuff players together. I remember years back, you can give me Westbrook, Durant every night and combine for 100. And I think at these prices, I think that's a range of outcome. And even if they just got me 90, I would be okay on FanDuel. So I like that. Adam says, I love Kyrie, Durant, Levert. I think on FanDuel, that's an easy 3-man stack. And I would be a sucker for it, absolutely. All 3 of them not having a ceiling game. So on DraftKings, you probably need one of those guys to have a ceiling. But on FanDuel, they could all be average, right? Durant at 85 on a 5-game slate. If he got 45, 50, I don't even know if we'd call that a ceiling game. And then Kyrie at the point guard spot. Look at the point guard spot. It's Luka, Kyrie, Steph. If Steph doesn't get 4 quarters, Kyrie could be up there with 40, yeah.
Like, if we're assuming that Bucks game doesn't get 4 quarters, power forward is not pretty taking Giannis out of the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very shallow. I mean, every position shallow. So, like, I'm just there comes a point where I got to get some raw points. So I wouldn't write them off just because maybe they don't all coincide for ceiling. But I also don't think they're priced on FanDuel where you need what we remembered them as ceiling wise. KD's 8,500, bro. Like what? What? Um, Irving's going to get a lot of that dog smart, not the best matchup. Uh, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it's not really going to run me off just because the screens are so powerful. The trap play, scrolling. Brown over Levert easily. On DraftKings, I would 1v1 to Jaylen Brown, sure. Brown on DK is looking good, I agree. What up, Crispy? Cash for Christmas? I hope so. Nets should quietly be a pace-up team this year. I would agree with that. Prefer Brown to Levert. On DK, I do. Any Tatum? I like the idea of Tatum, right? I think, Jaylen Brown took a lot of the eyes on night one, and I do think that team was a little bit set up better. I mean, I think Durant, a lot of people comp Tatum to Durant, so Durant would be set up to be a solid defender, but I also remember Steve Nash saying that he didn't want to stress Durant too quickly to playing that historical Kevin Durant defense. I'm there on Tatum, but he needs to do a lot on both sides at the price. He's almost 10K on FanDuel. He's 9,300 on DraftKings. So I would need the north side of 50. So I do think he's that. If you got the Cajones, drop him on the table. But I don't think on a short list I can justify it with a high level of confidence. Narrative for Kyrie back in Boston on ABC Christmas Day. Sure, I'm there. Let's move on to the next game. The Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Project starting five for the Mavs. Luka Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell taking on Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol. We got a 227.5 total. The Lakers favored by 7. LeBron James tweeted, he may not get sleep tonight. He's so excited. Hey, man, if he's not going to sleep, I don't want to play him.
Easy fade. Sleep deprivation's a real thing.
Duh. Where's what was that doctor's name? Fan? I don't know. There was a doctor that had the sleep ratings. Yeah, LeBron's LeBron's 10K on DraftKings, 11K on FanDuel. So he's one of the high price decisions. And I think on FanDuel, a lot of people are already kind of off him to begin with, but on opening night, he just didn't get minutes that we're accustomed to. Maybe that game didn't go the way that we're accustomed to as well. But before that game tipped off, we got coach speak that they would play LeBron in shorter spurts. So there's a lot to interpret there. He ended up playing 28 minutes. AD ended up playing 31 minutes. Both of those guys did touch the court in the fourth quarter, including AD, who was on the court, midway through the fourth quarter. So maybe the plan is for LeBron to not quite be that 37-minute per game guy just yet. So taking that and absorbing it for what it is, maybe 11K for LeBron is a little bit uncomfortable to be overly invested in on FanDuel. On DraftKings, you can still see the 50-plus even in 30 minutes. A guy that kind of stood out, and I want to say, I don't know if I'm going to eat a ton of egg, but Dennis Schroeder kind of shocked me. I didn't think he was going to produce at that clip for fantasy with LeBron, because in preseason it would just seem like LeBron was running point. Schroeder, 28 minutes, only shot 5 for 15, and was still the highest fantasy point scorer on the team with 14 points and 12 rebounds, landing 2 assists shy of a triple-double. One game sample size, anything could happen, but he's 5K on FanDuel again, and he's 6K on DraftKings. So I think the rebounds maybe throw out. Maybe he's a 5-rebound guy, but could this be a double-double machine where we can just bank on 30 fantasy points? Because there's plenty of assist conversions in a LeBron and an AD, and even if he gets some cross time with Montrezl Harrell, which if we look at it, Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder did play together in the first quarter, and they played together in the third quarter. So I think the potential for him to be he might set a career high in assists per game here. So I might be on board the Schroeder train here, and I think the price is still a little too cheap, and he's a shooting guard on FanDuel. So you put him and LeVert together for me, I'm a buyer. So early on, I'm penciling his name down. Anthony Davis, 10.3K. This Mavs front court, pretty undersized overall. AD should feast. He's 10-6 on FanDuel, 10-3 on DraftKings. You're going to want that 60 bomb more than likely, but the matchup is ripe. And then on the Mavs side, Luka Doncic. He's 11K on FanDuel, 10-7 on DraftKings. The DFS GPP game theory guy in me thinks two ranges of outcomes from a field perspective. First of all, he was one of the highest owned players on a 13-12 game slate, and he was meh. Maybe less than meh, right? If you played him, you couldn't win a tournament because of what else was out there. And now his price went up quite a bit. At least on DraftKings, went up $700. But I also think the ownership maybe runs away because the matchup's perceived more difficult. He doesn't have a great track record either. But he's still Luka Doncic. So does Luka's ownership go from 30% to under 15%? Maybe. And this is one of those things, a 6-point spread here. You look at this Mavericks team, if this game is tight like this, Luka's got to be a catalyst in that happening. So, I don't know, Jake. Where's the Luka coin flipping in your mind?
I mean, I can't say no to him. Yeah, he didn't have a great game, but he still played 36 minutes. He took 26 shots. We know Luka's a triple-double threat every time he takes the court. Like, if there's a chance I'm getting low-owned Luka, I have to like it. Like, how am I not going to, like, low-own somebody getting 36 minutes, 26 shots, put up a triple-double?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Luka ended up with 49 fantasy points, and it was a slow burn. So, yeah, he converts. If he shoots more than 50% here, and he only took 6 threes too, so he was just not getting there. He was getting some free throws though, 12 free throw attempts. Yeah, I'd take a bit of that. The only thing is, like, I don't see a lot of assist conversions. Like, he doesn't have the.
It is not a great lineup around him.
No. But man, that spread's only 6. Like, I don't know. Maxi Kleber in my soft projections kind of stands out, and I think one of the reasons for this is because of his price. By the way, if you guys want access to my projections, I do cover DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. You can get that with a VIP pass at RunDFS.com. He stands out as the top DraftKings value play, but I think a lot of that's because he's $3,500. So if he drops a 20 bomb, he hits 6+X value. On opening in their first game, Kleber got 27 minutes, put up 15 fantasy points. We know who Maxi Kleber is and has been. It's not somebody I would get too excited for. I think a great comp for this is Eric Pascal on opening night. He might just end up being high owned just because of the price and the fact that he's a power forward eligible player. But just something I thought I'd drop out there. All right. Rich is in chat. We've been debating this, to LeBron or not to LeBron. Jake?
Man. As somebody who's going to have primary action on FanDuel today, we've talked about guys like Karis LeVert, Jaylen Brown's there. We'll get to Kawhi. At 11K, if LeBron's not going to be playing 36 minutes, I think I can not go there and choose to go, different position, but 300 more salary-wise. I think I can go Luka.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think the field would agree with that. If we play Luka, or even if we play Lakers, is there like anyone on the Mavericks that we want to handcuff here? Just to be like, kind of like Steph Curry. I feel like if Steph Curry gets full minutes, in my mind, Oubre's got to be there. If Luka gets full minutes, looking at what was around him, Dorian Finney-Smith almost doubled with rebounds.
I actually really like DFS if he's going to play 36 minutes at 4K, pretty much. He took 11 shots, couldn't shoot. He's still Dorian Finney-Smith, but
2, 3, 4, 5 guys had 10+ real points, and none of them, other than DFS, were like impacts for fantasy.
Dorian Finney-Smith played 36 minutes, tied for most on the team. Took 11 shots, tied for second most on the team. 8 rebounds, tied for most on the team. He's real cheap.
His initials are DFS.
That's what we're here for. We're for the DFS breakdown.
Yeah. Okay. DFS on FanDuel, 4,200. All right. Correlation play here.
like well, Josh Richardson's been somebody we've played in the past. He still took shots. He still played a ton of minutes. Not for Dallas when we played him, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if I want Luka, maybe I increase ownership on DFS in those lines or something like that. But also, I probably highly correlate it with Schroeder, and then Anthony Davis. Right. I think all of us in chat we agree. Like the logic, the short sample logic, is short information logic we have on LeBron, where they might not want him to be a 37-minute guy, or whatever. Anthony Davis 10-3, 10-6 against this front court. I mean, he definitely could profile as one of the highest scoring players on the entire slate. My soft projections on my first run put AD at the fourth highest scorer. He's in play. I plenty of block potential here against this undersized unit as well. So we like AD more than LeBron. Do you like AD more than Luka or less than Luka? He's cheaper on both sides.
probably less. He also didn't see crazy. He saw 31. He's fine. Like, I love AD here too, but I don't know. The thought in my head of just like Luka's Luka. Especially we've talked about like the weapons on this Dallas squad aren't like crazy good as far as scoring goes. He took 26 shots, or he didn't shoot well, but like you have to assume he's not going to go 0 for 6 from 3 on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I'm with that. All right, Lakers bench. Montrezl Harrell, 5.1 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. I think Montrezl will, when we look at the center position on FanDuel, it's like Jokic. And then depending on Jimmy Butler being in or out, Bam Adebayo would kind of float. But then Montrezl Harrell's down here. The opportunity cost pretty low for what we know as a high point per minute, high volume guy. People slack on him for his defense. I think those people don't really understand who Montrezl Harrell is, and especially when they overrate what happened in the bubble last year. He went 17-10. I do think he had a little bit more pepper in his step against the Clippers just because of the offseason developments between him and his former team. But man, you give me 30 minutes of Montrezl Harrell against anybody, I'm a buyer. In that game, he did kind of close out for them. And that's, when they kind of threw in the towel, right? AD was off the court. LeBron was off the court. So, maybe he got 5 more minutes than he probably does get normally if a game's competitive. But I would say that there's a chance that the Mavs aren't competitive against the Lakers, right? LeBron coming off of a loss, national TV, definitely think there's
Christmas
a chance.
Day?
Yeah, I think it's possible. So, Montrezl at 51 on FanDuel. I'm a buyer. 6K on DraftKings. I think the conversation is still open, but certainly a higher responsibility. Kyle Kuzma 4,200 on FanDuel. All these 4 to 5K guys, they all seem so volatile. But on FanDuel, if we look at Kuzma, go to opening night, especially off that bench, Kuzma only got 27 minutes, or he got 27 minutes. Took double-digit shot attempts.
Nothing else.
Yeah, really nothing else. So it was all Harrell. And I do like the Harrell-Schroeder combo, and I definitely think they are a positive correlation just because they can work together on assists and whatnot. So give me some Schroeder Harrell on FanDuel as 2 of my higher-owned Laker exposures. What else we got, chat, before we move on? Tony Cantillo says, Dennis Schroeder trip dub, heard it here first. All right, it's Dennis Schroeder time. Quote, Dennis Schroeder. It reminds me of how they use Rondo. I think it's better Schroeder.
Oh, he definitely is.
Yeah. Maxey would be the highest owned player on the slate. On DraftKings, I would see that, yeah. Josh Richardson, clear number for Dallas. I don't know if you meant number 2. Will hit ceiling and low ownership. Will hit ceiling. What is Josh Richardson's ceiling, though? We haven't really seen like J. Rich ceiling in a couple of years when he was it the Heat, where he was just like sometimes he would run point before the Butler years. But I mean, looking at that team around Luka, it was so spread out. It was like a bunch of 10 points. It was like very Celtic-y, where I'm like, okay, maybe it is just Luka, and that's kind of what it was last year as well. Kleber's looking like Luka versus Lakers splits are horrendous. Only one good game and it was overtime. Harrell free double at 5K. I'm with that. You playing Harrell over Jokic. So I'm definitely someone who contends that you want raw points when you start getting queued at certain positions. I think FanDuel really, if you play tiers on DraftKings, FanDuel sometimes ends up being a tiers to me. So if Harrell gives you 30 at 5K, you feel good. You feel good about yourself. But if Jokic goes out there and drops 60 again, those raw points probably find their way into the winning lineup. And that's just the way it is. So I think in a 1v1, I probably am finding a little bit more room for Jokic just because of position. I want to win the position. But I definitely like the idea of Harrell. But I think which one you play dictates what kind of lineups you'll see, right? So when you see Jokic lineups, you're probably gonna see more Jokic and like Levert and like Schroeder, guys like that, right? But when you see Montrezl Harrell lineups, they're probably gonna be more AD, Luka lineups, stuff like that. So I like them both for what they are at their price. But if I was making a single entry, it would probably be Jokic because I'd also have to concede that Harrell benefited from a blowout. I don't want to say a blowout, but them throwing the towel in and he closed out the game. I don't know that Harrell's a 32-minute guy. I think he's more of a 28-minute guy on a good day. So we'll see. Gasol's in foul trouble. Does he really get in foul trouble quickly again? Maybe not against this front court. But I also don't think Gasol's a high-minute guy either. Like, he was only a 15, 20-minute guy in Toronto, right? So I don't think he's going to be a 30-minute center.
Yeah, I don't think he'll average 12, but yeah, I don't think he'll average 25 either.
Yeah. Paul says, in my opinion, fade LeBron until mid-January until his legs get under. I can see that. What up? 8 likes. What might do it? Let's get some likes, man. We're at 21, 50. It's not too bad. Almost half. Yeah, if you guys want to help me out, hit that thumbs up. We have one game left on the docket. Take a pause for the cause. Let you guys know that I'll be covering NBA in the morning, 2 hours before the slate, and I'll be in the Discord all day just kind of sweating out, making decisions. If you guys want to be part of that, go to rundfs.com. Make yourself an account. Click VIP passes. Find a pass that's right for you. We also have coverage for NFL. When I get off the air here, I have to go set up the NFL spreadsheet for the weekend. There's an NFL game tomorrow, by the way. The Vikings, right? Vikings and Saints. Is it Saints?
Yep.
So we might have to do a little research on that if anybody wants to play some showdown. I don't know if they put some money on that. I'm sure they probably did. Christmas football. So yeah, if you guys want to come be part of that, get access to the spreadsheets. I will also have my own player pool, where I'm leaning at, my tier 1s, 2s, 3s, where I'm personally at. You don't have to run what I run, but, hey, here's where I'm at, where's Gunna at here, blah, blah, blah. And then we do the 2-hour pre-lock voice chat in the Discord, so if you guys got a headset, you can listen in, or you can grab a mic, join in, make some new friends. We'd love to have you. I think we were pushing 20 people in the pre-lock chat the other day, and I'm sure that will keep growing as we go forward deeper into the season. So make yourself planted, man. It doesn't have to be with me, but I've always said that my biggest piece of advice for NBA DFS players, especially new ones, is get yourself in a community because more than any other sport, NBA is so news intense that you're going to have people that let you know that, oh, that guy's out. Oh, the other night, D'Angelo Russell didn't start, right? How many people would have missed that? But we were in voice chat, and we caught that right away, and some people pivoted off of D'Angelo Russell and move forward. So just get yourself planted, and it's just a good way to learn and evolve and grow as a player. So come check that out. We have Discord, we have spreadsheets, we have the voice chats, and have coaching if you need it. Anything else? Okay. Josh says, you said first game Gasol would play even amount of minutes. Why does it change? You said first game Gasol would play even amount of minutes? What do you mean? Even amount of minutes? I would never put Gasol as a high minute guy. You mean even amount of minutes with Montrez? I don't think that would happen. I'm going to say I don't think that would happen. I don't think that's the plan. I think Montrez would I think there's going to be 3 rotations, right? There's going to be rotations where AD is the center. There's going to be rotations where Gasol's the center and Harrell's the center. So, like, maybe there's rotations where LBJ and Kuzma are at the 4, and then, like, Gasol and Harrell only have 20 minutes apiece. But just in a vacuum, I don't think Marc Gasol is going to average more than 22 minutes a game this season. With Harrell, that's what you said? I don't remember that, Josh. If I said that, I don't know, but I don't remember saying... I don't remember having a conversation about Marc Gasol, to be honest. It's Marc Gasol. Matter of fact, I didn't do a stream for that game. I only did a video where I touted Montrezl Harrell. So you might be thinking of maybe a different YouTube channel. But I definitely did not do a stream for that slate. So I don't know, Josh. I love you, though. All right, let's go to the last game here. Clippers at the Nuggets. Project starting 5 for the Clippers. Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nick Batum, Serge Ibaka taking on Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., Paul Millsap, and Nikola Jokic. A 224.5 total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the Clippers. I know Gasol had foul trouble, guys. I'm saying I don't think Gasol's minutes are going to be deep with or without foul trouble, right? I could be wrong. If he turns into a 30-minute center, sure. I'm putting him at like a 22-minute a game ceiling guy. I think he's 18 to 20 minutes a game. And that's what they did last year with Dwight and JaVale McGee, right? Like, why would that change? I don't think it does. All right, Clippers and Nuggets. Kawhi Leonard, 9.5 on FanDuel, almost 10K on DraftKings. Paul George, 7.6 on FanDuel, 8.7 on DK. Both guys that are points per dollar priced at a point where I think they can hit collectively, but also you can just make a case for one or the other. Lou Williams off the bench stayed at that 5K area. Luke Kennard went up to 4K flat on DraftKings. He's 4K flat on FanDuel as well. And the Nuggets, after playing in the bubble, come back and have to go to overtime, lose a heartbreaker to the Sacramento Kings, and Nikola Jokic still won people lots of money. My boy Haz, shout out to Haz. He was sweating the $4.20 max, and he's like, "Going if Luka gets me top 10, I'm gonna buy a Luka jersey." And I looked at his lineup, and he had 1% Nikola Jokic. I said, "F a Luka jersey, bro. You need to get a Jokic jersey, bro. That's the guy who got you to the dance." And this is Jokic continuing looking good from preseason. Obviously, did get he got an extra inning of at bats, but Jokic is a guy that can lead the slate in scoring. It's a shallow position on FanDuel. 9,700. I think even 50 fantasy points gets you in the conversation of him making you eligible to win the position and getting you up there in the slate. I think he'll probably be the highest on center on FanDuel. I could see him pushing 40% if things got wonky, just because of the point chase nature of this sport. But also, if you put Jokic in a lineup and then you just want to correlate it with a Kawhi and even a Paul George who's 7'6", that's leaving you 55 per. I mean, there's something you can work with there, especially when you think about how cheap Schroeder is, how cheap Karis LeVert is. I don't think that's a bad way to go. So I definitely think Jokic will be your highest owned center on FanDuel. Not a lot of other Nuggets kind of stick out to me. I think Michael Porter Jr. was effective in the minutes that he got. I think you have to remember a lot of people in this game, not a lot of people, the whole game went to overtime. So, maybe shave off, or at least remember that when you're looking at how many minutes they played and what they produced. I'm going to pull up the popcorn machine from that game.
One thing minute-wise, I will say, it went overtime, so even if it is subtract 5, I don't know if he played all overtime. Paul Millsap played 36 minutes in 2020. Like, he was just out there.
Yeah, he did close that out. No Jeremy Grant behind him now. And then MPJ having to play at the 3 a little bit more, right? Who are they missing? Montana.
Their bench is all guards.
You playing Paul Millsap? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if I can. I just caught that, though. of the 3 bench players Denver had that got over 10 minutes in that first game, it was Monte Morris, PJ Dozier, and Will Barton.
I mean, minutes equal money, so I'll take a stab at that. Sure. I would say this front court. I would say it's comparable to the Kings, right? Batum, Ibaka, in terms of size and like just being scared. I'm not really that scared. So maybe get some Millsap in my life. I don't really play Gary Harris, especially at 5K on DK. I'm good on that. A couple thoughts on Will Barton. Saw people talk about Will Barton in the Discord. Definitely think in and of himself, right? At least on FanDuel 5K, Barton is at a price point where he does have upside historically. Are we leaning on him a little bit more? They did opt for him to close out in overtime, play 33 minutes. So even if you take out those overtime minutes, he was a high 20s. He even closed out the fourth. So I could be a buyer on Barton in tournaments. If you look at that second unit, it's Will Barton. So one of these games, or every now and then, he's going to hit. And this Clippers second unit seems a little bit softer than the starting unit, right? So if Will Barton's going to get some time on the court against not Kawhi, sure, I'll be a buyer in that. On the Clippers side, Lou Williams, 53, 52, you kind of know what your range of outcomes are there, right? You can get hot, start drilling threes. That second unit kind of is just him and Luke Kennard look at when it comes to scoring. But I do think if we look at that popcorn machine, I think this could be a team that maybe staggers a little bit more when it comes to Kawhi and PG. Coming down here. Wait, I clicked.
The one thing to know with MPJ, I didn't end up watching the end of that game, so I wouldn't be sure. I do see he played the least minutes. He was getting run off the floor a lot because he is so
bad on
inept at defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, defensive liability for sure. And that could absolutely happen. I mean, Kawhi would pick you apart if he smells blood in the water. So I could see that. So Kawhi played a few minutes after Paul George came off. Paul George came back at the start. So they are staggering Paul George and Kawhi quite a bit. So, I mean, I'm a buyer. I think the PG Kawhi handcuff. I talked about the KD Kyrie handcuff. It could combine for 100+. I think Kawhi and Paul George has the same impact as well. And then but behind PG and Kawhi, do we have to have a Nick Batum conversation? Is it time? No, 28 minutes. You got 23 and a half fantasy shots. Yeah, it's ugly. But a couple of peripherals were there. In preseason, there's a couple of peripherals. I'll say this. I don't want to play. I'm playing on FanDuel. I probably don't touch Nick Batum with a 10-foot pole. Even on DraftKings, I don't think I would. But, if you 1v1 Nick Batum and Maxi Kleber, oh, my God.
I mean, if you think Kleber's going to be the highest owned person on the slate, I don't think this is the most absurd pivot to make ownership-wise.
Yeah. All right. Nuggets, Jokic.
Yeah.
See, leading your studs.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. Especially, if Butler gets ruled in. Not that it makes Bam a bad play. It doesn't. But, if we drop Bam just a tiny bit on FanDuel specifically, center is so bad outside of Jokic. Or not bad, but it's so shallow outside of Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much is Jokic or Harrell at that point.
Yeah. And then, if Butler's out, Adebayo. But, I mean, I guess if Butler's in, Adebayo just might be that sneaky play that makes sense at the end of the day. But
oh, yeah. He's a great play. He's a totally fine play either way. He just becomes a nutty play if Butler is ruled out.
Paul George, Kawhi, a little bit of Lou. Kennard.
Paul George is so cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, and a shooting guard too. Anyone we're sleeping on the Clippers? The only 4 names I might even introduce to my player pool right now is George, Kawhi, Lou, and a little Kennard. No one else.
I promised Rich I'd bring him up. Got to talk about Zubac.
Ivica Zubac.
He played minutes. He played 27 minutes. Picked up some boards. Put up 11 points.
Yeah, Zubac could be a point per minute guy. And who's the second unit center for the Nuggets?
Denver's bench really is just Will Barton. That's it.
It's Isaiah Hardenstein.
He played 9 minutes. Yeah, he's the only big that even got minutes off that bench.
I don't think that's crazy. I can see Zubac getting there. FanDuel 47. I can't justify Zubac at the center spot on FanDuel, but on DK with that util spot, getting a little bit versatile, maybe. Sure. Chat, what you guys got on this one? Kawhi's gonna have that man sitting at the front. MPJ, yeah, Kawhi will probably destroy him. DK prices are too tight. How is MPJ 6.7 on DK at 5.4 on FanDuel? Definitely going to be some different looking lineups on both sites. And there's a lot of egregious differences in pricing. Actually, one of the features we have in the projections tab here at rundfs.com is a percentage of salary column, which will tell you how much a guy is percentage of your total salary on DraftKings, on FanDuel, and on Yahoo. So, I don't know. We talked about Michael Porter Jr., right? So if I control F Porter, this is 13% of your DraftKings salary, but just 9% of your FanDuel salary, and then he's 11% of your Yahoo salary. So definitely a tool that you can use to just kind of adjust, because a lot of people that play on both sites maybe do just kind of fall in love with players and not necessarily the prices and investment opportunities. So DK definitely tightened it up, but I think that's probably a blanket statement we could apply to all sports. FanDuel's just pretty easy to make pretty loose lineups in every sport. Football is wide open as well, and I guess you're going to see that with NBA going forward as well too. So definitely tougher to make some DK lineups that you like, and that happened to me the other night. I was trying to make a Giannis. I think it was a Giannis, Levine, Doncic, and Drummond lineup. And it's a lineup that ended up with like a Tyus Jones in it. So it definitely hankers down your studs and scrubs capabilities. Chat, what else we got? Tony Cantillo says, with Morris out again, I like Batum as a punt play here. That's all he is. Chip in a chair punt play. Hopefully he gets you there. 20 plus. I think on FanDuel, like I said, FanDuel for me comes down to a lot of winning the position. He's a small forward, bare bones min. So if I just want to write off the small forward spot and then let that allow me to go get like a Giannis, a AD, KDs, I think it's possible. So I'd probably have a little bit just because he is bare bones min. And, he's not somebody we look at for scoring, but maybe he falls into some steals and some blocks, and that'll help you out a little bit more on FanDuel at min price. So I don't think that's a crazy take. Batum has been
I actually wish he was power forward. There's a lot of decent small forwards, which seems like a rarity. But Jaylen Brown, LeVert, if we want to go back to Oubre, Brandon Ingram, MPJ, if Batum was at power forward, I actually do probably end up with a decent amount because there's so little there outside of the top guys.
Yeah, very shallow. Paul says Zubac on FanDuel only because DK is wiling with these prices. What about Pat Bev? Am I reaching here for FanDuel? I think if your lineup construction has you loading up on the other positions, right? Butler, George, LeBron, Kawhi. We have Giannis, KD. Definitely not going to be able to afford higher end point guards here. So Beverly, whose arsenal is kind of defensive minded, right? Steals, maybe a block here and there. He had no steals, no blocks against the Lakers. But 10-6, 19 at 4,200. He only got 22 minutes.
He had 4 fouls. I'm not sure how those stacked up in one.
Yeah, that might be a problem. It's chipping a chair. If he gets you 20 fantasy points on this slate, and that allows you to kind of do what you want to do elsewhere, I don't think you're reaching, but I also think you are accepting a wide range of outcomes, right? He could just get you 10 to 13 as well, and then you're really behind the 8 ball. But for a FanDuel, I don't think you're crazy for getting there. Is there a late swap on FanDuel? Yes, Louis. So far there has been, and it has made me come back to FanDuel. FanDuel was where I started for basically all DFS, and then when NBA came around, I went to DraftKings, one, because I really love playing centers, but I also liked the safety of late swap, just in case we get games scratched. And I don't know that FanDuel specifically as a business decision wanted late swap. I think it was more pressured by the volatility of COVID, especially last year when the bubble came back. It was all day slates like today, so they just you had to put late swap. But we'll see. Maybe a good season of late swap on FanDuel, and they just go ahead and keep it, hopefully, next year. So there is late swap as of now. Thanks again. All right, Tony, appreciate you stopping by. Anyway, that's it. That is the 5-game Christmas slate. I do think it's a little bit difficult. I like FanDuel more right now for some of the softer landings. But it's going to be a lot of fun to sweat these games all day. Hopefully, maybe we helped you digest each game. And hopefully you guys are able to put together some strong stuff out there. I have to work on a lot of lineups tonight. And hopefully you guys, I'll see you guys in the 1225 on FanDuel. Maybe the 555 and somebody hits. And then we have a Twitter party. But nonetheless, I hope you guys have fun just enjoying NBA DFS being back. Paul says if you're playing Batum, you're playing one of the over 10K studs, and I think all of them won't hit value on FanDuel. I think that's true as a statement, but I also think it's true that a 10K guy, or maybe not a 10K guy, but I also think a stud could drop 45 and still win a GPP just because it's a 5-gamer. I think it's possible. So at least a smaller, like a 50K or less entry tournament. Hey guys, before you guys leave, if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up, double check, make sure you're subscribed, and hopefully maybe by the next video, we might be at 5K subscribers, and we'll move onward and upward to 6K. Jake, any closing thoughts, hot takes, anything like that? You're a little bit different than Raj. We haven't argued.
I mean, let's see. What can I find here as a crazy hot take that I'm missing out on? I got to channel my inner Raj here. I haven't tried to go that way.
Dennis Schroeder triple-double, yo.
Keep an eye out for that one. Whatever Raj says next time he's on about Terry Rozier, do the opposite. He cannot get that guy right. Chris Middleton's going to get that triple-double. There's my Raj take.
Saturday.
Game staying close, Middleton's going off.
There's 10 games on Saturday. Looks like it would be a 9-game main slate. So this is our only middle slate for a while. Sunday's another big slate. Monday it goes back to normal 5 games. All right, so I'll be back with something for Saturday. But yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. Hit that thumbs up before you leave. Otherwise, twitter.com/GunDeckerSports, and I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord all day, all night, having some fun with you guys, chopping it up. I appreciate you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.